Have you ever heard about an IQ test?
Yes, IQ test, IQ or intelligence quotient is a standard measurement of one's intelligence level.
Do you know that there is a dark history behind it? Back in the early 1900s, French children were required to attend school. However, the government noticed that each child had different capabilities, so that some of them might be less academic. To decide which students should get help, the government asked psychologists Alfred Binet and Theodore Simon to create a task to evaluate students' learning abilities. Because of the relationship between the task and students' school success, people began to refer to it as an IQ test.
Wow, that's cool.
But the history didn't stop there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. As time went by, people's mindset towards the task began to develop. Yet, unfortunately, not all of them developed a positive mindset.
In the mid-20th century, psychologists have been used intelligence tests to assess more than just general intelligence, especially schizophrenia, depression, and other psychological conditions. However, a subsequent research has found that this test is not providing a clinically useful information. And today, although IQ tests have been used a better pattern of question and analyze, they are no longer used to diagnose psychological conditions.
Firstly, we need to know that people's understanding of intelligence in the past isn't quite the same as we have nowadays. Okay, let me explain. People in the past used to think that intelligence is hereditary, therefore intelligence can be passed down from parents to children. To put it simply, smart parents equal to smart children. This is where the problem begins. As people start searching for a partner with high IQ to have a children with, people with lower IQ will have low to almost no chance in finding a partner. It has gotten so bad that some part of the world even force people with low IQ to have forced sterilization so they cannot have children. One of these countries is America, specifically Virginia. This practice was done from 1924 up to 1974. This problem doesn't only stop there. People in the past also created a thing called racial hierarchy because they think people of certain races are more superior than other races. The top of the racial hierarchy mostly includes white people that speak English, and at the bottom of the hierarchy, we have new immigrants that have entered the United States from Ellis Island. IQ test results were inappropriately used to make sweeping generalization and to verify the claim of surprisingly low intelligence of Jewish and Southern European immigrants. The test result and outlandish claims led to then a popular proposal by racially motivated psychologists and others to enable Congress to enact restrictions in immigration. Even though the tests given were in English only and the vast majority of the immigrants could not understand the language, the United States government deported many and thousands of worthy individuals whom they unfortunately labeled as unfit or undesirable.
Hi Zach, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Rick, I'm doing this IQ test.
Is it really an IQ test? It looks kinda easy to me.
Oh, yeah, of course it is. Because the United States Army developed this Army Alpha IQ test during World War One.
Wow, it must be practical as it has been used for over a century.
The Army Alpha test was mainly aimed at screening recruits and assigning them to different training. Those recruits who accomplished relative high scores would be trained as officers, which was obviously safer than other roles. This is a version of the Army Alpha test. As we can see, it requires an essential reading ability. The US military chose to risk the lives of those lower IQ recruits without taking into account that some of them were immigrants who lacked formal education. The results of the Army Alpha test were used as a strong proof of eugenics, which was one of the causes of a lot of terrifying histories, such as the forced sterilization in the state of Virginia, America, and the murder of children in Nazi Germany. "10 years after the forced sterilization in America, Nazi Germany allowed the murder of low IQ people, according to Stephen Murdoch, who is the author of a famous IQ book, IQ, A Smart History of a Failed Idea. The Holocaust Memorial Museum has proved that the Nazis set up medical files for different races. Based on the IQ test inside each person's medical file, Nazis applied the eugenics system to them, which are sexually sterilization and murder. Scientists counted the number of victims from those medical files. Based on IQ, 200,000 people were sexually sterilized by the Nazis, and unknown hundreds of thousands of people were murdered by the Nazis. We could never know the exact number of people who were murdered, as there's no paperwork left anymore.
IQ tests have been used to legitimize the horrific deeds and ideas that has no scientific validity. This doesn't suggest the test is not valid. In fact, it does a good job measuring the reasoning and the problem solving that things are supposed to measure. However, this is not the same as evaluating personal potentials. And despite the fact that the IQ test raises a political, historical, scientific, and cultural problems, a growing number of experts agree on that and reject the notion that people can be defined by a single numerical score. Therefore, if you want to take the test, go ahead and take it. But remember, it doesn't define who you are or what you are capable of.